A is for aviation, read, written, and illustrated by me. On the back of the book it says, explanation of the NATO phonetic alphabet. Each letter in the alphabet has a name assigned to it. Naming each letter helps pilots and air traffic controllers communicate clearly. For example, the letter K and J sound similar. So, to avoid confusion, a pilot would say Kilo instead of K, or Juliet instead of J. This book teaches the NATO phonetic alphabet in addition to the ABCs. Example, R or Romeo is for rocket. And then on the back it shows the phonetic alphabet. The best investment you can ever make is in the life of another human being. Elizabeth McGee. The author-illustrator, that's me, earned her private pilot's license at 17 years old and her commercial license shortly after. Big A, little a. A or Alpha is for acrobatic airplane. Acrobatic airplanes have a lot of power, which makes them great at doing stunts. You might see one doing a loop or flying upside down. Big B, little b. B or Bravo is for biplane. Most airplanes have one main wing, but biplanes have two, giving them almost twice the lift. Biplanes were some of the first airplanes to fly. Do you see how it has two wings instead of just one? Big C, little c. C, or Charlie, is for crop duster. Crop dusters are used to spray crops with chemicals, such as fertilizers or pesticides, which helps them grow. Since crop dusters can fly, they can do this job much faster than a tractor. Big D, little d. D or Delta is for dirigible. Dirigibles were used for travel before airplanes were common, but now they are mostly used for fun and for advertising. Since dirigibles are lighter than air, they don't need wings to fly. They float. Big E, little e. E or Echo is for emergency rescue aircraft. Emergency rescue aircraft are just like ordinary ambulances, except they can fly. If someone is injured far from a hospital or in an area without roads, emergency rescue aircraft can transport them to safety fast. Big F, little f. F or Foxtrot is for floatplane. Floatplanes don't land on normal runways. They land on lakes, ponds, or oceans. Sometimes floatplanes are used to land in remote parts of the wilderness to go fishing. Big G, little g. G or Golf is for glider. Gliders have long wings that help them soar through the sky for a long time, even though they don't usually have engines. When gliders need to get higher, they can glide into rising currents of warm air called thermals for a boost. So the thermals are going up, it's rising air, and the gliders kind of like fly into the thermals that are going up, and then the gliders get to go up also. Big H, little h. H or hotel is for hot air balloon. Hot air balloons adjust their altitude by heating the air inside the balloon to go higher or letting some hot air out to descend. A typical hot air balloon can lift 1,000 pounds in its basket. Big I, little I. I or India is for instruments. Instruments, these things, show pilots information such as the location, direction, speed, and altitude of the aircraft. This helps pilots to safely fly even when it's hard to see out of the windows. Big J, little j. J or Juliet is for jumbo jet. The biggest jumbo jets can weigh over 1,400,000 pounds and hold over 660,000 pounds of fuel. That's a lot. Jumbo jets are not only huge, but they are also fast. Most fly at over 550 miles an hour. Big K, little k. K, or kilo, is for kit plane. Kit planes are usually small and simple airplanes that have to be put together before they can be flown. Many pilots choose to build and fly kit planes to experience the joy of building an airplane themselves. Big L, little l. L, or Lima, is for light sport aircraft. Light sport aircraft are so small they can only hold the pilot and one passenger. Pilots as young as 17 can get a license to fly these tiny airplanes in as few as 20 hours. I was 17 when I got my pilot's license also. Big M, little m. M, or Mike, is for multi-engine airplane. Multi-engine airplanes are usually faster than single-engine airplanes, but they are also safer a lot of the time. If one engine breaks down, the second engine can keep the airplane flying while the pilot finds a safe place to land. Big N, little n. N, or November, is for Naval Aircraft Carrier. Navies use aircraft carriers as floating airports to let helicopters and jets take off and land at sea. Some naval aircraft carriers use giant steam cannons to shove jets down the runway to help them take off. Big O, little o. O, or Oscar, is for ornithopter. Ornithopters are aircraft that flap their wings to fly. Just like birds and insects, people dreamed of these strange machines hundreds of years ago, but nobody built one that could fly until after the airplane had already been invented. Could you imagine seeing airplanes up in the skies flapping their wings? That would be interesting. P. Big P, little p. P, or Papa, is for paraglider. Paragliders have fabric wings that look similar to parachutes, but they also have engines to push them through the sky. Paragliders can use thermals and wind currents to gain altitude, just like gliders. So they can use the rising air currents to gain altitude, or they can use their engine. Big Q, little q. Q, or Quebec, is for quadcopter. Quadcopters have 4 rotors, which allow for very stable flight. That makes them ideal for use as camera drones. Big R, little r. R, or Romeo, is for rocket. Rockets are used to launch satellites and to carry astronauts and supplies into space. Some rockets have even carried astronauts to the moon and radio-controlled rovers to Mars. Big S, little s. S, or Sierra, is for space shuttle. Space shuttles were a special type of spaceship which could land on a runway like airplanes, which made them reusable. 5 space shuttles were built and flown for a total of 135 missions. Big T, little t. T, or Tango, is for taildragger. Taildraggers keep their propellers high upon landing by leaning back on their tail wheels. This allows them to be especially good at landing on rough and rocky runways. So some runways are actually just grass fields or just an open field, so taildraggers are especially good at landing on terrain like that. Big U, little u. U, or uniform, is for ultralight. Ultralights weigh less than 255 pounds and are only allowed to have one person on board, the pilot. Ultralights are so small that the government doesn't even consider them airplanes. V, big V, little v. V, or Victor, is for VSTOL, meaning vertical or short takeoff and landing. VTOLs can use very short runways, meaning they can take off from boats much smaller than a typical aircraft carrier. Unlike helicopters, they still have wings to provide lift while in flight. They are, in a way, a hybrid, like a combination of a helicopter and an airplane. Big W, little w. W, or whiskey, is for water bomber. Water bombers are used to scoop up water from lakes and drop it onto forest fires. These aircraft are especially useful for fighting fires in areas of a forest that fire trucks can't get to. Big X, little x. X, or X-ray, is for X-plane. X-planes were experimental planes built by the government to push the boundaries of aircraft capabilities. Some X-planes flew into space while others set speed records. The first airplane to fly faster than sound was an X-plane. Big Y, little y. Y, or Yankee, is for Youngstown's Warren Regional Airport. All airports have codes that pilots and air traffic controllers use to identify them, and the code for Youngstown is KYNG, or Kilo Yankee November Golf. This airport is interesting because it is a public airport that is also used for military cargo flights. Big Z, little z. Z, or Zulu, is for zoom climb. Zoom climbs are when a pilot flies an airplane very fast, then pulls back on the yoke to point the aircraft straight towards the sky. So the yoke is basically like the steering wheel. Zoom climbs allow aircraft to climb faster and to a higher altitude than their engines could otherwise take them. I hope you enjoyed A is for Aviation. If you like this reading, please give it a like. And if you want to hear more books, please subscribe. In the links below, I will link where you can find this book on Amazon if you want to get a copy of it for yourself. Thank you for watching.